Hello Naps, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jocelyn, super excited. Today we're going to be doing some fun Joker makeup and talking about the placebo effect. We're going to be doing a sort of a hodgepodge together makeup between the 2012 Death of the Family Joker and the 2018 Batman Ninja Joker. These, I believe, were both animated. So give this video a like if you want to see more. And otherwise, stay tuned. We'll see what happens. To start off with, I'm going to be using this is just like straight up toilet paper. You can use tissue paper. And also, I'm using my Spirit Halloween liquid latex because this is big enough that I still haven't used it up yet. And you can see the gorgeous yellow color it will turn when it's dry. Gross. Absolutely disgusting. I'm also gonna just take, that's not the right side. I'm gonna take like an eyebrow pencil and just sketch out a little below my hairline. He's like wearing another face over top of his face, so I'm just going to be sketching out the spots where I want that face to not line up. If you're working with liquid latex and this is the first time you've ever worked with liquid latex, be careful what brushes you use. They will get destroyed. As you can see, this is my gunky, gross liquid latex brush. Yep. I'm going to use this little glass bowl here to put a little bit of my liquid latex in so that, really, child safety cat, we're going to do this today. When it does dry, if I haven't cleaned it all out, I can just peel it up real easy. Oh, eyebrows. I always do this. I say I'm going to start one place and then I forget that I should not use liquid latex on my hair. So now that we've got our line drawn in, we're going to be using our glue stick, our jumbo disappearing purple, hopefully getting on your skin friendly glue stick. Latex is really not hair friendly. For the side stuff, I'm just gonna kind of stick it down. Basically, you don't want the latex to stick directly to any skin that has hairs attached to it because they will not be attached when you take it off. I mean, if you take it off carefully, potentially you'll be okay, but there have been times where I've done everything I can to carefully remove latex and it still pulls a couple hairs out with it, so I'm just trying to avoid that. Then I'm gonna go through and I'm just using like one of those little spoolie brushes to brush my eyebrow hairs up. Just get all that glue right in there. Placebos are your control when you are testing medication. You have this medication and now you're really testing to see how accurate it is, what kind of effects it has, if it has side effects. And the best way to do that is to test it against some things. So you want a baseline neutral. What would happen if nothing was done, right? So people who are in the baseline test group get like what we call a placebo. So that'll be like a sugar pill. It's a pill that you take. It's got no medication in it. And then you have the actual medication thing, and then you might have like another thing you're testing it against to see, okay, is it more effective than this other medication? And I'm not a professional. I should say that right now. So there's a whole bunch of other steps I'm sure I'm not getting. This is my baseline knowledge. So take my word with a grain of salt. And if something sounds like it might not quite be right, let me know. Put it down in the comments so that other people know, and we'll go from there. Okay? Cool. Let's do layer number 2. People who take the sugar pill might get what we call the placebo effect. And the placebo effect basically boils down to a beneficial health outcome resulting from the belief or anticipation that an intervention will help. And that causes a beneficial physical response. So one that's not related to medication specifically, people think that cupping might be a sort of placebo effect, like that thing where you put a cup on somebody's body and you suction up some skin and it's supposed to increase like blood flow circulation. And because it's not scientifically proven that it does certain things, it's kind of in this interesting realm of why are people feeling better. And some people think it's the placebo effect, and what happens there is your brain says, oh, it's going to help me. It anticipates that it's going to help, and that belief makes some neurological signals in the brain change. And it can help you feel better. Okay, I'm gonna do round 3 and I'm gonna try and take it more through the side of the brow instead of going so much up with this time, so that hopefully the glue catches in those cracks and starts to like flatten out a little bit. Gotta be careful if I touch my brows while they're sticky. I say that and then I touch my brows. I don't know what I just did there. So I did another like layer of glue, and if you find, like I found, that a lot of the glue buildup over here was starting to do weird things, you can take something that has like a little bit of water in it, because these are washable glue sticks, and you can kind of thin out that gummy gluey spot so that it doesn't stay gummy gluey. And now let's get into the liquid latex. So what we're doing for liquid latex, I am going to be using my tub of cheap latex, and I took some of my toilet paper and I have it ripped in half here so that it is a little bit more manageable. And the idea is that you lay it down, you dip your thing in, and you coat it, and then you can kind of work the edges yourself later and finesse it. You can already see I'm going over my eyebrows a little bit, so it's a really good thing that I've blocked those down. And the latex will kind of seep through the toilet paper or any thin material you use, so like I didn't have to worry about sticking it onto my face first. And for this one, I'm not gonna make the whole face look super bandaged. Like I'm gonna keep it to like the top and like the edges a little bit more. So the core of my face, like here, is still going to look relatively untouched. I know you all are wondering how this relates to the Joker, because I do try and make my makeups relate to what I'm doing, even if it's like last week where it's a little off center. Check that one out up here. I'm getting a lot of vertical lines, which is not exactly what I want, but as I go through and I kind of build up the layers, I'll futz with it to make it look a little bit different. My first layer kind of set, and the top you can already tell is a little bit drier. It's got that yellowish look instead of like the more whiter look that's on the sides. So I need some good wrinkles. I'm gonna take thinner pieces and I'm gonna kind of let them fold a little bit more as if it's stretching. We're gonna try and center most of those wrinkles where it's getting pulled. And then the other thing I want a little bit of lift at that edge. So instead of adding more toilet paper there though, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build up the layers of latex. I want it to be a little sturdier around that edge. Add a couple big old wrinkles over here. Okay, Naps, we are back. It has been like a solid 30 minutes, but I also did go back and layer some more on the top, and I peeled it up a little bit. Don't want that to stick to itself. And I was going to peel a little bit off the bottom just because I want like a little bit more of that it's not quite attached to my face look. Good news is the spots that have the tissue paper peels up a little easier. So now that means we get to do some fun painting. I'm going to get out my Mehron cream blend stick, and this is in just white. So it's just like a white cream paint, and it's like a glue stick kind of. You just twist it up and more paint comes out. So I'm going to keep the white to like this part and inside. So anything that's on the edge of that like mask stuff is not going to be white. Now let's figure this out. So I've never really used this product before. Oh, that's going to be fun. Except for like I did a test on my hand on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, by the way. At Humble Pie Production. I sometimes post random stuff that I'm doing, so you can maybe get a little sneak peek. This is where you're gonna see all the texture. You can already see it before blending. So this will give you a good idea of how you applied your latex, for sure. Okay, we're gonna start there. I'm gonna use my beauty blender from earlier on this. We're gonna blend it in and continue to talk about placebo effects, and we'll just keep going back and forth between the stick and the blending to figure out what we need, you know? I should have powdered the latex. We'll see how bad it is after one layer, and then I'll properly powder and then reapply. Do as I say, not as I do, you know? Also, I'm gonna need a couple layers of this white anyway, because I want to be quite comic book pale. And right now, the center part is just vampire pale. So we talked about before, like, what the basics of the placebo effect are. We didn't really talk about, though, is how it does that. How it just off of belief can make you feel better. Because contrary to popular opinion, it's not just your brain making stuff up. Like, it actually has a foundation. I'm going to be using my Skin Illustrator Zero Color Loose Setting Powder. And I'm going to use a giant brush, too. That's a lot of powder. Okay, well, too bad. Powdery. And the thing that the powder really does with the latex is it keeps it from sticking to itself, and it also gives a good base for stuff over top of it, especially because I'm using like cream paint. If I want to layer any water activated paints over top of the cream paint, which I'm going to do later, I need another thing in between it. I'm probably going to go through actually and also use like a short thick brush to try and get some of these wrinkles that I definitely created purposefully, but maybe I'm now regretting a little bit. So anyway, back to that. So the placebo effect is not something that's just made up in our heads. It actually has like scientific reason for why it happens. But it does not mean that a sugar pill is medicine. When you think something might work, something has a chance of working, your brain sends out a ton of endorphins. It's like, okay, we're prepping, we're ready. It's that anticipation, right? And your body gets super excited, super ready, super pumped. And those endorphins, they act like a big old pain duller in a way. Endorphins get your body ready for fighting stuff. So your body is prepping for new things to enter. And in the process, those endorphins kind of dull our pain receptors and some other parts of our body. And this is particularly relevant to things that are more like controlled by the brain. So like those things which are like really signals from the body that the brain interprets in different ways and then tells you how you feel, those things are what primarily get affected by placebos. When dopamine also hits, so the happiness chemicals, then also that reduces pain and can make us feel better as well. So you're getting a whole host of chemicals that flood the brain and are like, hey, you feel better because you got all these chemicals coming in. But it's not from the medication you're taking, it's because of the process of your brain doing stuff. You can kind of see the edges over here a little bit more than we can see them on the other side. Nope, that was wrong. We can see them on both sides. Yeah, this is me learning. And then let's try one more round of making my face look crazy white. What are you doing over here, Beauty Blender? Are you pulling? Oh, this is pulling up the edge of the latex. Back down. Back. Usually I would use a big powder puff because you can kind of press it in the specific spots. I chose a different path today. Okay. White base, it's been powdered. The main part of the edge is going to be this to the hairline, this to this, and then this is just going to be more like placed over top of than have that same sort of muscly edge. Also because then I would have to figure out how to do that like further down, and I don't really want to do that. By the way, all products that I use are going to be linked in the description along with any materials that I have used to research. So go ahead and check that out if you are interested in that. For this next part, I'm going to be using the Mehron Paradise Makeup AQ Pro palette. This is magnetic, it is refillable, so you can also just go on Mehron's website and just buy the colors you need for a specific look. And the good thing about the AQ Pro palette and the colors inside of it, like all these bad boys here, is that they're all water activated paints, so you don't need anything else to kind of mix them or make them work. You can totally use like Mehron's mixing liquid if you want, but they work fine with water, and I'm going to just use water with them. Yeah, and so these are the colors here. And that's the layout as well, so that way I don't have to keep picking up the palette and putting it in front of my face. And now this part of it is, the center is Batman Ninja, and then the outer stuff is the Death of a Family one. So then we're going into the muscly, veiny, like he cut off his own face and put another face on thing. So we're going to probably be using like the red and the beachberry red, and probably a little bit of, I would say the light pink is kind of a highlight of the muscles. Maybe also throw some white in there, just so you know what colors I'm going to play with. I'll try and tell you which colors I'm using as I do it. Right, muscles. I said muscles. We're doing muscles. Let's start with that beach berry. There's a reason I pre-peeled it. Get a good base underneath. Make it look extra gross and stuff. Oh, and this is where we're getting that like flaking. So I guess it's looking a little bit more, oh, what's that one? Dark Knight trilogy where his makeup is like all flaking off. Started out as just 2 looks, but maybe that's going to be a third element, and I just totally got paint all over my pants. Fun. We're going to go into the hairline a little bit, also making me realize how lopsided my hairline is. That's fun. This looks super cartoonish right now. We're gonna fix it as we go. Going in the jawline a little bit here, and I am going to go right underneath. Now let's go in with that darker red, so the shade that is ironically just called red, kind of in here. I think this one's more towards the side. It's like you have muscle groups, you know? This one has a slightly more bloody color to it. Oh, and I just dipped into the lighter red. No. So as I talked about with placebos, as I dip into that pink shade, that light pink. So placebo effect typically ends up managing conditions like pain management, stress-related insomnia, cancer treatment side effects, life fatigue, and nausea. I'm not sure what life fatigue means in this instance. This brush might be too big. This brush is definitely too big. I'm totally gonna have to go over the white again because this is just super flaking away. But maybe that's kind of part of the fun of it. Like if you put on somebody else's face over his own, he probably had to paint that face. I mean, the lore only says that the Joker has very, very white skin, but I'm sure if, oh, I went with the red again, gosh darn it. He has that thing from like a chemical dip, a dip in some chemical thing. So, but that, if he stuck somebody else's face on him in this one, then that face wouldn't necessarily have that super white vibe, right? Sorry for anybody who's like, these aren't accurate to muscle groups. I warned you, I'm not a professional. But it just needs to look just enough like that. Let's do some white. I'm trying to highlight without too thickly highlighting. We'll add blood last. Blood is always the messiest, so you don't really want to like start off with it. It's a finishing detail. Andrea is currently like right here. Oh, that was convenient timing. Hi. She says hi. So let's go ahead and draw on some eyebrows. Make sure your brush is clean. And I'm going to be dipping into that Amazon green, which is this beautiful, very, very, very green shade. I love it. For these eyebrows, we're going to start here. They kind of arch. So it's a little angry, but it always ends higher. Not bad, actually. Okay. And then the fun thing about the Batman Ninja one is the Joker also has like a mustache. So I get to paint on a mustache. I think it goes out and then it just slowly lifts up, I want to say. Something like that. This is fun. Okay. So if you have heard of placebos before, something that you may be thinking is, what's the like efficacy of giving somebody something that is not medication? Because, you know, people have done that in the past and it's not a good thing. And people have been exploring that and trying to figure out ways like, can you give a placebo and like tell people it's a placebo and still have the same scientific data outcome? Still have like the same results of it being good, neutral, ground zero. And I don't remember when this study was. I'll pop it up here. There was some study that did a test. They had like a deceptive placebo, so a group that didn't know they were taking a placebo. And then they had a non-deceptive placebo group, so a group that they knew that they were taking a placebo. And for the non-deceptive placebo group, the group that knew they were taking a placebo, they made sure to explain fully the placebo effect and how they still might receive positive results from the placebo and that belief in things. And they actually found that people in the non-deceptive placebo group and the deceptive placebo group had like the same rate of placebo effect within that, which is cool. So it means that placebos can be given with that like description after, and people can know actually what they're taking without as much worry on the efficacy of it. The morality question. Hopefully science moves in that direction, we can all be more informed. This is also the downside of using a Spirit Halloween latex. Like if I was using like a Mehron or Ben Nye or a Krylon latex, I don't think I would be having this like weird chipping problem, because that stuff intense staying power. I feel a little V for Vendetta-ish. Oh yeah, definitely V for Vendetta vibes right now. Let's go in with that darker green now. Yeah, it's literally called dark green. We're gonna try and create our hair, our brush hair-like strokes. I'm gonna need to go back in with some white as well to make the individual hairs pop a little bit more. I don't know why I'm doing upwards brush strokes with those initial ones now that I'm thinking about it, because those would all be hairs going down and then out. This is the problem with not having a mustache, man. How am I supposed to know which ways the hairs go? So let's do a little bit of lime. So we're just going through the whole green spectrum on this. We'll try and give a little bit more of a highlight to some of those hairs. Go through with our brows, add some highlights there. They ended up a little chunky. Okay. We're gonna go in with our black for our eyes and create our black eye shape. We're just using the straight up black shade. This is like drag queen eyeliner right here. What do jokers and drag queens have in common? They both are slain on the regular. Something like that, maybe? The more I read on the Joker, the more I was like, huh, because one of the theories of why the Joker is the way he is has to do with him having a hyper-awareness of reality. He is hyper-aware that in his reality, in the comic book, that the world doesn't really matter, and the only thing that matters in this world is Batman. I'm gonna have to go through and clean up these edges. Straight lines are not my friend. From what I'm gathering, then his mental anguish is he doesn't matter, right? And knowing definitively based off of his understanding of his reality, so his belief that he doesn't matter because the only one who matters is Batman. So in order to feel like he matters, for him to believe that he matters, he then becomes like the antithesis of Batman. He becomes the Joker, the one who is constantly involved with Batman, because if he is centering himself around Batman and Batman is the central character, then he is in fact also a central character then. These are theories, and I'm gonna go back into that beach berry red, but with a smaller brush this time for the mouth. And because he believes that Batman is the only one in this world who really truly matters, that's why he can so like flippantly just kill, right? Like nobody else actually matters. It has no effect on anything. Regardless of what other things might be available, other ways for him to feel fulfilled in this world, he believes what he is doing will help him be more important, right? There's other potential solutions that he could have gone with. He could have rescued puppies or something, but I mean, if puppies don't matter in that world, would rescuing puppies really mean anything? So then every time he interacts with Batman, he feels important. He gets that rush of dopamine. He's in that fight or flight mode, so you know his endorphins are kicking in too. In effect, currently I'm arguing that the Joker is using the Batman as sort of like a non-deceptive placebo. That means he's aware that it doesn't really solve the bigger problem of the world is falling apart or that he is not the center of the world, but he is using it to feel relevancy in this situation. So I should have lifted up more with the mouth. Maybe I can fix it? I should have like tested that line beforehand. This is just what it is. Okay, let's see if I can fix that red line now so that it actually is in the right spot. Yeah, the goal is when I smile, it doesn't look like it goes wiggle. What do you think? Does this make sense? I was thinking about doing my hair a little bit green, just like putting through some of that Amazon green color. This is not a paintbrush, but we're gonna use it like it's one. Not gonna lie, I feel slightly diabolical with all this, and like, could I go kill the Batman right now? Probably not. But like, could I think that I could kill the Batman right now? Maybe. Also, let me know what your favorite version of the Joker was. Doesn't matter if it's animated, live action, comic book. Gosh darn it, I have so much hair. This is why it's easier to use hairspray. I take it back. Just use hairspray. We're here, we did this, now we get to blood. I'm going to be using the blood. Literally, the blood. And this is their deep wound blood. This stuff is like real legit. I'm actually probably gonna regret using this because this particular blood, it dries and it looks wet, but you also basically have to remove it with alcohol or like a very heavy duty effects makeup remover. And I'm gonna let that one drip down the mask because why not? Careful if you're tilting your face and you're trying to do the blood drip, you want it to drip down, not sideways. Some of them you can see kind of went a little sideways already. Also, I am doing this over top of like plastic sheet, kind of like one of the protectors for makeup, so that when it drips, it doesn't drip on, hopefully, it doesn't drip onto my clothes. How are we doing drip-wise? Oh, it's a big splat. Big splat. Okay, I need to darken up these colors. When I come back, I will have my final complete look. I'll see you soon. All right, Nabs, here we go. What do you think? I'm sorry the liquid latex did not turn out super great. This, I promise this is atypical. This is a liquid latex problem. This is not like, I don't think it's an application problem. I'm like 80% sure it's not an application problem. So I went through and I darkened up my lips, I darkened up my eyes, and then I added like a little fine line, like a black line to right underneath like the mask area, just to make it stand out just a bit more. Also, let me know what you think about placebos. So the very end to my little placebo rant here is, because we read the comic books, we sort of know that the Joker's perception is actually like pretty accurate to our own perception of the comic book world, right? Batman really is the center of attention, and the people that the Joker kills, do they matter most of the time? Methinks maybe not as much. Is our perception, which is also the Joker's perception of reality, wrong? Is it truly a placebo? Also, drop down in the comments if you have any ideas for things you want me to do. I enjoy doing special effects makeup, and I would enjoy, having reasons to do other things as well. Still trying to work on a dragon thing. Still working on that. Getting there eventually, sometime. Not quite there yet. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, ding that notification bell to be notified when I post, and I hope to see you here next week for another video. Alright, now, have a lovely day. Bye-bye.